Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So this is part 2 of infectious diseases in humans. And for this part, right, what I'm going to elaborate in this video is not applicable to students taking science biology. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be covering today. Just for this video, I will be just talking about the structure of a bacteria and of a virus and how to compare between these two. Okay, so let's begin. So for the objectives of the syllabus, you have to learn how to state that a typical virus has a protein code. This is quite important, okay? And this protein code, right, will enclose the genetic material, and the virus, right, can reproduce only in living whole cells, okay? Number two, for a bacteria, you have to state that a bacterial cell has a cell wall. This cell wall is unique. It's not a plant cell wall. And the bacteria also has DNA, but they do not have a nucleus. Okay, some bacteria are harmful, which we term the word pathogenic, and some bacteria are just not harmful to us. Okay, so non-pathogenic. So let's start with the structure of a bacterial cell. Okay, a bacterial cell has no nucleus. However, they do have DNA. Okay, and the DNA, right, exists in two forms. The first one is as a form of bacterial chromosome. Okay, so you are looking at the bacterial chromosome over here. So there is no nucleus, they are just lying freely in the bacteria. The second form, right, of DNA is known as a plasmid. Okay, so you see these little circular structures here. All right, these structures are known as plasmids, and they also contain genetic material. All right. Bacteria have a cell wall. Okay, but please don't get confused with the cell wall of a plant cell because the bacterial cell wall is not made of cellulose. Okay, they share the same term, but the structures are totally not the same. Most bacteria, right, have a tail. Okay, like a sperm cell. We call this tail flagella for plural, and singular, right? We call them flagellum. So the tail, right, just like a sperm cell tail, they will spin and they will enable the bacterium to move. Okay, so we describe this movement as motile, as being as having motility. Sounds like mobile, but we use the word motile to describe movement. And lastly, which is highlighted from the previous slide, there are harmful bacteria and there are harmless bacteria. Okay, so not all bacteria are harmful, and therefore introducing to you the term pathogenic or non-pathogenic. So let's move on to the structure of a virus. Okay, now a virus is quite unique because a virus has both living and non-living characteristic. A virus, right, actually has no cellular structures. They don't have organelles, they don't have a nucleus, they don't have cytoplasm. Okay, they don't have a cell membrane. They cannot grow, they cannot metabolize, they cannot feed, respire, or excrete. Okay, so basically they are like, how do I say, not alive. However, they can reproduce. Okay, and they can only reproduce, right, in living cells. So if you leave a virus in the open, right, they will not survive. They will die depending on the type of virus. Okay, depending on the duration. But they'll ultimately die. But if they are in a living cell, right, which we call them hosts, they can survive and they will start to reproduce. Okay, because they have a genetic material. This genetic material is normally in the form of DNA or RNA, and this genetic material is enclosed inside the virus. This enclosure, right, is not a cell wall, it is a protein coat. Okay, so we use the term protein coat to describe the envelopment of the virus. Okay, so this is the last slide. This is a very short video, but I would like to just focus on this for this video. Okay, so you are looking at a table where you are comparing between the structure of a bacterial cell and a virus. So there are five that is being displayed. Is actually lifted from the textbook, but I would like to highlight to you number 2, which is DNA. Okay, now we use the word primarily, or rather I would advise you to use the word primarily because bacteria also has RNA. Okay, but majority of bacteria, right, the main composition of genetic material in the bacteria is actually DNA. So when you write, right, and you compare, uh, by writing the word primarily DNA, right, it is better than just writing the word DNA. Okay, the rest you can refer to them. I do not think that there is any need for me to elaborate. But yeah, you must learn how to compare between the structures in the bacterial cell and in the virus. Okay, so this table is presented to you in this way. And that's it. Okay, so this is the end of part 2, just talking about the structure of a virus and the structure of a bacteria. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye bye.